Now, many people think that AI is going to replace everybody. But what they don't realize is that mediocrity gets replaced. Not mastery, not discipline, not purpose, but mediocrity. So the question isn't, will AI take my job? The question is, will I be too distracted? Will I be too comfortable, too dependent to take advantage of the shift that's happening? So in this video, we're going to talk about how to stay disciplined, how to stay useful, and how to become indispensable through the advancement of AI. Now, there's this idea that AI is the enemy because it's taking over everything and leaving us with nothing. It's taking our jobs, our money, our mind, our attention. But in reality, AI is not the enemy. Comfort, distraction, lack of structure, a lack of discipline, a weak environment, those are your enemies, because it's those things that will cause you to lose and miss opportunities during this shift that's happening. Right? Are there bad things that you can do with AI? Absolutely. Are there good things that you can do with AI? Absolutely. But AI is not inherently good. It's not inherently bad. AI is just technology. But I believe how we use it, how we train it, our intentions behind it, our mental state, that's going to determine the direction that we go and what side of the fence we end up on. Right? Because it can be good or it can be very bad. And this is not just individually. This is collectively. Right? So in other words, I believe we are our worst enemy during this time, both individually and collectively, which is why it's more important than ever to not get caught slipping into distraction, to not get caught slipping into comfort, because that's like a guaranteed way to lose. Believe it or not, there are people who are still asleep at the wheel, right? There are people who are still asleep at the wheel. They're not studying AI. They're not using it. And even worse, there are people who are aware of it. I believe just about everybody's aware of it now. But they're aware of it and they don't want to study it. They don't want to learn it. It's like a guaranteed way to lose. Like, this is not the first time we've been through a major transition like this. Right? And what I like to do is I like to look at the people in the past and say, okay, during their time that they went through their transition, their revolution, what things were they thinking? What things were they feeling? What successes did they have? What failures did they have? And how can we learn from them? So one thing I discovered is during the revolutions and the transitions that the people that resisted against it, those are the people that lost, guaranteed. So the people that aren't studying it now, that aren't learning it now, that aren't using it every day, like, that's just a guaranteed way to lose, right? Take, for instance, the Industrial Revolution. That's where we transitioned from man doing the work to machines, factories, and mass production. And during this time, people feared losing their jobs. It was like, oh my gosh, they're building these factories. And they're putting these big old machines in there. And the machines are doing it better, faster, more efficiently. They're doing it at scale. Sound familiar? But like, if they're doing that, then what am I going to do? What am I going to do on a day-to-day? How I'm going to provide for my family? How I'm going to pay for my bills? And they also fear being irrelevant. Looking in the future. It's like, hold up. I've been doing this my entire life. I've been doing this for decades at a time, 10, 20, 30 years. My dad brought me in this. My mom brought me in this. My grandmother brought me in this. My grandfather brought me in this. I was born in this. I was raised in this. What am I going to do now? Where am I going to go? What is my future going to look like? Right? And I'm not saying that they didn't have some serious challenges to overcome, because they did. I'm not saying that their fears, their concerns, their feelings weren't valid, because they were. But the validity of what they were feeling had nothing to do with the transition that was happening, because the transition was happening whether they liked it or whether they didn't like it. It was out of their control. So they only could do one of two things. They could adapt with the change, or they could suffer through it. That's it. And those who adapted with it, they did quite well for themselves. And those who suffered through it, there were probably periods that they didn't do well, right? Eventually they probably got it, but they had no choice to get it. So if you fast forward to where we are now, we're asking ourselves the same exact questions. What am I going to do about work? What am I going to do about my job? Is AI going to take my job? Is AI not going to take my job? Am I safe? Am I not safe? Like, what does my future look like? Right? If AI taking my job now, then where am I going to go? What job should I go after? What industry should I be studying? What things should I be training in? Same exact questions. But a principle that I like to hang my hat on is that every time a solution is created, and AI is a solution, by the way, it's going to create more problems that need to be solved. Right? Now, of course, there's an argument that AI is just going to solve those problems that it creates, which I'm pretty sure it will. It will solve a lot of problems that it creates. But I like to believe that it's not going to solve all the problems. It's going to solve a lot of them, but not all of them. And the reason I like to believe that is because another principle is I believe we don't get out of life what we want. We get out of life what we focus on. So if I'm constantly focused on the negative, like AI is the enemy, is taking all of these things away from me, then I'm going to miss opportunities because I'm not looking for them. Right? What we look for, we will find. So if you're looking for fear and negativity, that's what you're going to find. If you're looking for opportunities and positivity, that's what you're going to find. Right? And this is not a thing of being toxic in your positivity, because that's totally different. A person that is toxic in their positivity, they only focus on the positive and they ignore everything else. Right? Only focus on the positive, ignore everything else. But when you're optimistic, it's like, okay, I can understand both sides. I understand there's a negative. I understand there's a positive. But I'm going to choose to focus on the positive because that's what's going to help me find opportunities, while also being aware of the negatives and not forgetting it, right? Not completely ignoring it. I'm going to position myself in a way that I can still find the opportunities and thrive while battling these negatives as well. It's called being optimistic, right? So that's why I like to look at the fact that there will still be opportunities available. And AI is just not going to solve everything. And even if it did, I believe you can't never count out the human race. Because at the end of the day, we are the dominant. And if we need to, we'll create problems for ourselves and figure out a way to thrive, right? And still work with AI. That's what I choose to believe. But another positive is if you look at the Industrial Revolution and the things they went through and what they built, it laid a lot of infrastructure for us. And I believe that the things that we're building now is going to lay a lot of infrastructure for the people in the future. We got it a lot easier than they had it back then. And it's because of what they built back then. Right? Like, it's so much so that people almost expect things to be easy. Like, if it's too hard, people aren't doing it. Right? We live in a world of convenience. You one prompt, boom, you got your answer. You put an order in online, boom, you got your delivery. Same day, sometimes. 2 days max, Amazon, right? They do same day delivery too. You don't have to stand in lines anymore, waiting for a cash register, a cashier. You just pull out your phone, scan and go. If you don't want to come into the store, put your order in online. They'll deliver it to your house, or you can just pull up and boom, they'll bring it right out to you. If you got the luxury of being around the Amazon Go store, you just walk in the store, grab what you want, walk out. You don't have to do anything. And if you haven't seen that, by the way, go on YouTube, type in Amazon Go. It's crazy, right? You don't have to do anything. Just walk in, grab what you want. It already knows. Put it in your cart. You just walk out. And it'll take care of the rest. Crazy. But we live in a world of convenience, right? But even with convenience, you still have to be careful, because convenience can make things easier, but if you're not careful, it can also make us weak. Take, for instance, a calculator. It's a brilliant tool, amazing tool. It's fast, it's efficient. But if you stop doing basic math yourself, then your brain is going to get lazy, and then you're going to forget how to do basic math. It's just like typing, right? You ever been thinking of a word that you know how to spell. It's like, man, how do you spell that word again? If you're constantly using the word suggestion where you type half the word and it brings up the word for you and you click that to say, okay, boom, yes, that's the word that I want. That is AI, by the way, if you didn't know. So you've been using AI longer than you think. If you keep using that, then your brain's going to get lazy. You're going to forget how to spell the simplest words. AI is the same way. It's a brilliant tool, an amazing tool. But if you allow AI to do all the thinking for you, then you're going to stop thinking for yourself. And then you're going to become the tool, not AI. See, tools are meant to make us stronger. They're meant to make us better, not worse. So if you're outsourcing all of your tools that you have within yourself, like your creative thinking, your critical thinking, your effort, all of those things, then you aren't going to grow. You aren't going to get better. You aren't going to get stronger. You're just going to worse. You're going to decay. You're going to get worse, right? So I believe that we're not meant to fight against AI. We're not meant to see AI as the enemy. Number one, it's not going to help anyway. But our job is to master the tools that AI provides us, learn all that we can, while also mastering the tools within ourselves, such as creative thinking, critical thinking, adaptability under pressure, courage, character, discipline. Because truth be told, we're not in a war between man versus machine. We're in a war between discipline versus distraction. And I believe those who have the most discipline, those who have the most structure, those who can redefine themselves in a world that is constantly being redefined, those are the people that's going to win during this transition, right? During this shift of AI. It's those people that will win, those people that will thrive. So discipline is our defense. Now, when I say discipline, I'm not just talking about a form of self-punishment. I'm not talking about forcing yourself to do things that you really don't feel like doing to get a result that you just kind of want. That's not what I'm talking about. When I talk about this, I'm talking about the process of shifting your identity. The process of becoming who you need to become at this time so you can do the things you need to do consistently. Because there's no such thing as behaving consistently without first becoming through your thoughts and through your actions, right? Most people just focus on action, 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 action. If I do enough action, then I'll get the result that I want. Then I'll become the type of person that I want to become. But that's backwards, right? It's thought, action, then you get, right? So when you align your thoughts with your actions, it is then that you can act consistently and get the results that you want. See, discipline is about finding the right habits, finding the right mindset, finding the right character, and making those things a part of who you are. Because we will always act in alignment to who we believe ourselves to be. Take, for instance, let me put it to you plain. If you're fat and overweight, you're always going to be fat and overweight unless you shift your identity. If you're lazy, you'll always be lazy unless you shift your identity. If you're weak, you'll always be weak unless you shift your identity. Now, when I say identity, I'm just talking about the thoughts you believe to be true or untrue about yourself, right? Consistency comes from changing your thoughts in the narrative you have in here while aligning your actions. Then you'll get the result of consistency. Because we will always act in alignment to who we believe ourselves to be. You can never outperform your identity. And discipline is all about identity transformation. It's not a series of actions. It's not a series of behaviors. But it's a type of person that you become. It is technically a long-term commitment toward shifting your identity and becoming a different type of person versus a short-term sacrifice to get a result to please people that you don't know and to make those jealous who you don't like, who don't care in the first place, right? Discipline is all about identity transformation. So as I said, AI is a tool, amazing tool, great tool. But mastering discipline allows us to master the tools that AI allows us, right? And provides us. So even in that though, you have to understand your identity. You have to understand who you are. You have to understand what you're capable of, right? Earlier I said that we are the dominant. So you have to understand what you are capable of. And you have to understand who you are, because people will try to trick you out of position, especially during the transition. They'll speak fear and limitation. They will try to trick you out of position. AI can trick you out of position, right? Take, for instance, AI is fast, much faster than us. Our job is not to be as fast as AI. It's already faster than us. We can't catch up. It's like running a marathon. If you're running a marathon, know your lane, know your speed, know your pace, run that. You don't try to keep up with the fastest person in the world. You're going to burn out. You won't make it. AI is already much faster than us. Our job is not to be as fast as AI. Our job is to harness our focus through discipline and structure. AI can be very accurate, right? But we can be very intentional about how we live our lives. You have to know your position. AI has access to memory, right? But we can assign meaning with emotion that can cause us to be more creative, that can help us to thrive and to move along. You have to know your position. You have to know who you are. Like, identity is like the new job security, right? Because the biggest threat, technically, how I see it, is not AI taking our jobs. A job is cool. Job is a job. The biggest threat is AI taking our sense of identity, taking our sense of self, right? Forcing us into a place of fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, depression. Because when you're operating from those things, you cannot win. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be the smartest person in the world, the greatest person in the world. It is a law. When you're operating in fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, any type of those, you will lose, especially over an extended period of time. Right? So if AI is taking our sense of identity, that is when we're definitely in some trouble. So you have to know who you are during this shift. Like, I believe that this won't be the only thing that will thrive and be useful and be profitable and be sought after in the future. But I believe one of the things will be people who develop their human-centric skills, right? So people that are learning to become effective communicators. People that are learning to become people of character. People that are developing their adaptability under pressure. Their ability to have courage, their ability to coach, mentor, to lead, to transform lives, right? Their ability to become valuable to people. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where a lot of people are asking themselves the questions, am I liked? Do I fit in? Do I look like I have it all together? But very few people are asking themselves the question, am I building myself into a person of value during this time? Am I building a strong enough identity to win? Am I making myself useful now and for the future? Because we don't have a shortage of information. We have actually too much information, right? We live in like information overload. We don't have a shortage of information, but we do have a shortage of execution, right? So you have to ask yourself, like, am I building myself into a person of value? Because AI can give us prompts all day. It can give us the right answers all day. But I believe people won't necessarily, we always want the right answers. But I believe what will also become valuable along with that is people who care about people, right? And you can put whatever, however that looks for you, like you can put whatever there you want, right? But people who care about people. Because AI is almost like it's not perfect, at least not yet, almost like a perfect tool. And there are certain downsides that come with perfection, because as humans, we are constantly in a process of evolving, of overcoming things, facing challenges, negatives and positives, right? So I believe that people will seek out people who can help them through that process, and who can relate, who can't just give them all the right answers, who can be able to relate to certain experiences, to be able to relate to certain emotions, and not just say the right thing all the time, right? People who care, people who can lead, people who can lead with hope, people who can lead with courage, right? People who can help other people transform their lives. So how I see it is, if you want to become valuable in the next 5, 10 years, 20 years, if you want to be relevant in 2030, 2040, 2050, then become valuable to real people, right? If you're going to do content, make content that is valuable to real people. If you're going to start a business, make a business that is valuable to real people, that serves people other than just yourself, right? Though that is how we work with AI during this transition versus being overtaken by AI. Because again, I already said, like, I believe that we are the dominant. Yes, AI can do things much better than us. But at the same time, there is a certain element that AI doesn't have. Now, people talk about, can AI develop consciousness? That's like a whole nother topic that I don't even have an answer for. Not even qualified to be in that conversation, right? So maybe we will get to that point. I have no idea. But right here, right now, right, we are the dominant. We have dominion, right? And that's what the Bible tells us anyway, right? We have dominion over every living and walking thing. And that's what I believe. So I'm hanging my hat on that, right? So that's how we work with AI versus fighting against AI and seeing it as the enemy and being overtaken by AI. Okay, so let's talk about, how do we build ourselves into a person of value? How do we build ourselves into a person that is indispensable during this shift of AI? So first thing I would say is to go watch my video on how to reprogram your mind for unbeatable, unshakable, extreme discipline. All right, I'm going to put a link in the description and maybe somewhere here on the screen if I can. But watch that video, because it's going to give you a simple 4-step process and a 4-step framework of rinse and repeat of how to shift your identity and become more disciplined, right? Ultimate level of discipline. Number 2 is you want to master your mind. This is all about mastering your internal thoughts and emotions, right? Mastering that internal narrative. It's about training your mind to serve you versus training your mind to sabotage you. Because so many people will train their mind to sabotage them, and then they get mad that they're in the place that they're in. They're in the position that they're in. Think of it like this. It's like a GPS. A GPS won't take you anywhere unless you enter an address, correct? But in order for you to enter, you have to enter in the address, then you have to take yourself there, right? Now, people get mad that their mind takes them to a certain spot and then they're in a position that they're in. But it's just like putting in an address in the GPS. The GPS taking you to that address, right? You're following the GPS, driving there where the GPS takes you. And then you get mad at the GPS that it took you there. Our mind follows instructions very well. It doesn't matter if it's constructive, destructive, empowering, disempowering. The more you repeat something, the more it's going to become an automatic behavior. So this is all about training your mind to serve you, not sabotage you. Because if you're in a place of sabotage, then it's because you've trained yourself to be in a position of sabotage, whether intentionally or unintentionally, because sometimes it's not always intentional. Sometimes it just comes from ignorance. Sometimes it comes from innocence, right? Because sometimes you were raised in it and it's not your fault. But at the same time, whether you trained it intentionally or it was trained on you, it was trained for sabotage. So this is all about taking care of your mind and training your mind to serve you, right? Next, you want to train your body every single day. The body is more than just a skin suit. It's more than just a meat suit that just holds organs, blood, and all the other things, right? Muscles. It's more than that. It is a physical representation of your mind and your lifestyle, right? A physical representation of your mind and your lifestyle. Take, for instance, if someone is overweight, like seriously overweight, and they tell you, man, every day I'm hitting the gym, I'm eating clean, I'm working out hard, I'm pushing myself every single day, man. I've been doing this for about 5 years. But then you look at their body and they're fat and out of shape. You're going to look at them like they're crazy. Why? Because their body is reflected of their lifestyle. So when I say train your body every day, I'm not talking about training your body just to get a certain type of physique. Yes, a physique matters, right? But it doesn't matter most. It's all about developing a certain level of structure, a certain level of discipline in your life, right? It's all about becoming a certain type of person so that you can execute not just in the gym, but outside the gym too, right? The gym adds I shouldn't even say the gym because not everybody works out in the gym, but training your body, it is able to be transferred outside into your personal life as well, if you're intentional about it. So you want to train your body every day for the sake of structure, not for the sake of looking good, right? Although looking good is a part of it. It's the byproduct, not just the most important, right? So you want to train your body every day. Next, you want to guard your words. This is probably should have been number one, but probably this is like one of the most important things. You want to guard your words. See, words are not just sounds, but words are seeds. Every time you say something, you are speaking a certain reality into your life. Now, many people will think that words are harmless because when they say something, nothing happens. But we aren't God, right? He can speak things and boom, things happen. But us, we can speak realities through repetition. Think of it like this. When you plant a seed, as soon as you plant it, nothing happens. It doesn't just grow out of the ground as soon as you put it into the ground. No, you have to water the seed. You have to tend to the seed. And every time you're speaking something over and over, that is you watering that seed. So let's say you say something for the first time. That's you planting the seed. Then every time you repeat it, you are watering that seed. But just like a seed, it doesn't grow up immediately. You have to keep watering it, keep watering it, keep watering it. And then eventually it sprouts out of the ground and it grows. It's the same thing with our words, right? So you want to guard your words. So many people will speak the things that they see only because they see it and they think it's harmless. But every time you are speaking what you see, you are just reinforcing what already is, which is why people stay in the same cycle, right? You want to speak it until you see it. That's what you want to do, because our power is in not speaking things necessarily into existence, but our power is speaking things into reality through repetition, right? Because what you say in repetition, this goes for your actions too, but what you say in repetition will become your life's condition. So if you keep saying something over and over, then that's eventually what's going to become your reality. So you want to guard your words every single day. And next, you want to make sure you're studying every single day. AI is not our enemy. Ignorance is. So you want to make sure you're studying, reading, writing, learning something of value. Technology doesn't kill opportunity, but instead it multiplies it. It's like I said, the principle that I like to live by is every time a solution is created, it creates more problems. But even though it multiplies opportunities, it only multiplies opportunities for those who are prepared. So studying every single day makes you a prepared person. It's like that saying, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And last, go purchase my book, Winning Within: How to Win the War Between Greatness and Mediocrity. Only because this will help you to become that prepared person and become a person of value, right? It will give you principles to stand on. It will help you to understand yourself, and it will help you to thrive during the shift that's happening while all this chaos is happening. It will give you strategies, it will give you structure, and it will give you ideas that you will be able to win during this shift in this transition that's happening. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share this with somebody you feel might be able to get benefit from this video, and I will catch y'all in the next one.